Hello and welcome back to Indalo Model Railway. Well, I'm getting on with the high street and I'm starting to lay out the road markings. This is one of the roundabouts. I just cut it out to size just to see whether it is the right size and shape and if the cars and trucks would actually go around it. At the moment, I've actually started to put the keep clear signs here. I've actually had to space it all out and use the cars that I have, the parked cars that I'm going to use, which is these, as a sizing device. I've actually cut out this template as well. A lot of the things that I'm cutting out and making my own templates. Some of the things I'm actually, for the lettering, I'm using stencils. But because the pens that I'm using, which is these, the actual tip is too wide, I have to first use the stencil with a pencil. So let me just grab the stencil and I'll show you what I mean. So this is a range of stencils that I have here. I bought these couple of stencils because I thought this would actually go quite well for the size of the vehicles, but in hindsight it didn't. So I've also brought this stencil as well. They're only about €1.50. A lot of it is actually oversized, but I thought this road marking here could work very well as an arrow. So I'll probably only use this one out of here. Now, to get all the actual sizes right on the lettering, I'm using this stencil. It's probably a little bit bigger than what it needs to be, but because I cannot get these big chunky nibs into the stencil, get that open, there we go. See the size of the nib compared to the one on a pencil, they just won't go in. So what I have to do is, in the first place, is actually use a pencil just to draw around the stencil. Trying to do this with one hand, it's not easy, but I'm sure you get the idea. So then after that, I then use the pencil, this with a big tip, to actually go over it. And again, this tip is, I think, gone now. This might be all right for some colouring in, but it's just too worn down. This is why I actually bought those other two pens here, as you see, and it comes out a lot finer. When the nibs are new, like this, they come out finer. So that's how I've done it. I've basically used the stencil to letter on what I want to say, so keep clear, no parking, and then obviously hashed it out as well to make sure that it is kept clear, because obviously this is going to be the main entrance to the garage. Now what I'm going to do is carry on with even spacing from here for the cars. Now, as I say, I've actually cut out a template. It's actually this one here. This is the template for the size of the car. So every so often, going all the way along the high street until I reach the last full width of a car, i.e., for example, there. So if the crossing was going to be there, for example, I need a crossing to go from obviously one side to another. This is going to be the main high street where the low relief buildings are here. But if this is going to be the last car, I would not put a car space there. The last car would actually be a car space away, because what I have to do running up to the crossing in both directions is actually do like a zigzag line. And then obviously I'm going to have to put some railings here, either side of the crossing, just to make sure that there's good visibility for pedestrians that are crossing, if they come out here. Because if a car, unlike in Spain, They park right up to the crossing or have a bin there. Or in some cases, I've seen them do this, park on the crossing. But anyway, that's another subject. So I'm going to leave enough space. So I've got to space it, if you can work with me on this, evenly, the number of vehicles all the way along here, because what I don't want to do is get to the crossing and find that I've got like half a car's length and I can only hash or put the zigzag in that little space. So I'm going to work from left to right, working all the way along here. And when I get to roughly this sort of area, if I find that I've got, say for example, that much of a car left, I will then just stop the last one there and just have this zigzag just a little bit longer running up to it. As long as I've got the minimum of a car's length on both sides, here and here, I will, it'll be okay just to actually just run that as a zigzag and then do the crossing across here as well. Obviously I've got a central reservation here as well, that these holes are already pre-drilled for the lights that have got to go in. I've got them in order, and I do some foliage along here as well. But this is coming together, and I'll keep you up to date with how it looks as we go forward. But this is really just one of the lines. I think I'm going to also do a line along this side as well, a solid white line, looking at road markings, because this then obviously is a line, you know, that you shouldn't cross, even though there's going to be a central reservation here. Now coming back to these pens I picked up from my local hardware store, or we call them over here China Mercia shops, and you can get these sort of things in the stationery section relatively cheaply, maybe about €1 or €2, and they work, as you see, reasonably well. I mean, it does the job. It's not going to be perfect, because I don't think, you know, even on a road they look perfect. After a time they get worn, and if it's too trim and perfect, it doesn't look lived in, if that's the right word. But you know, it's going to actually do the job. Now I can obviously get transfers and start sticking transfers down, but I thought, you know, it's gonna not have the same realism effect. It's going to look too nice and too clean and too sharp. So I wanted to actually do it freehand. For example, so this could be, you see the letters aren't perfect, but that could actually be that the guy in the garage has come out one day with a paintbrush and done it himself. Yeah, it gets the message across, but it's not like done precisionally perfect. So it looks used and worn, and it's going to obviously do the job. Now, as I say, these pens here, they are what they call acrylic pens. It's, as you see there, a 1.5 to 2.5 millimeters in thickness, the tip. These are the smallest that I could find. There probably are ones out there on the internet, but I think really for this, it's done the job quite well. Now, unlike the other pen I showed you earlier, if you do not put too much pressure, force down, they will last quite a bit of time, the actual tip. It's only when you start to put a lot of pressure. That other one I showed you, that actually I use on the main layout on a different surface. So that's probably why it's not looking quite good at the moment. But as I say, these are quite cheap to pick up, and they do the job. When it dries, it will look okay. So I've got to put another white line down there. And then after, when it's done, I'll actually show you some vehicles moving on it as well.